good afternoon. Welcome back to the Livingston Parish News Daily Show, where we come at you at 7:30 a.m. and 4:30 p.m., bringing to you traffic, weather, and the news for the day. We do appreciate you joining us this afternoon. My name is McHugh David. I'm publisher and editor of the news. Again, thanks for joining us. If you're here with us live on Facebook, thanks for listening in. Hope you're listening and not watching and driving. Please don't watch and drive. If you are listening to this later, I do recommend listening. The edited audio is great. Or if you're watching the video later, we do appreciate you joining us as well. We are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. Please check us out there. Also, these shows are recorded, and as I said, if you're watching them later, you're probably watching them at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. Those are free. You can catch up on these shows or check out our long-form podcast. We've got two coming up tomorrow. Just ran into Jamie Seal of Quality Engineering earlier today. Got him on board for a conversation about drainage. We'll be having that with him in the morning. And then we'll be talking with Congressman Garrett Graves in the afternoon about a lot of things that he's got going on. So please join us tomorrow afternoon. Congressman Garrett Graves will be on the afternoon show just like this one. We'll also be doing a podcast with both of those gentlemen that'll be coming out later in the week, and we appreciate them joining us. Thank you. Your traffic today, there are a couple of wrecks in Livingston Parish, a lot of delays in and around the Livingston exit. Please be careful. Delays are backed up nearly to the Holden exit at 441. If you are heading westbound, if you're heading eastbound, delays are backed up from 63 almost all the way to 447, which is about 4 or 5 miles. So please be careful. Please try to use alternate routes. Heavy delays already at Jubin and 190. That's always a problem spot. Heavy delays coming out of downtown Baton Rouge, clearing up a little bit after the 10-12 split, but as everybody probably knows, that's a stack-up area, and it seems to be stacking up pretty quickly. Highway 64 also coming out of Central, having some issues. And 190, issues at the lights, but nothing too heavy. Current weather, it is 100 degrees outside. It's 87, but they say it feels like 100. It's 100. Intermittent rain this evening. 76 is your low tonight. 92 your high tomorrow. 30% chance of rain tomorrow. We are talking about all sorts of different things today. One last time for this correction, and it will be in Thursday's paper. The 9.2 million figure on Sunday's front page for the emergency fix of Cane Market Road was incorrect. That was the incorrect project estimate sent to us by DOTD. As said, there is a correct, the story itself on the jump is correct, as well as online, and there's a correction in Thursday's paper. That was $150,000, not $9.2 million. Again, the Cane Market Road emergency repair was $150,000, not $9.2 million. I will stop mentioning it, I promise. It came to light that a East Baton Rouge or Baton Rouge police officer, a sergeant by the name of Ralph Walker, was one of the ones shot Monday evening in a domestic dispute. He is from Walker. His wife, Tricia, says he is doing well. Still no timeline on his recovery. We also, the fire on Brown Road, according to James Wascom, fire chief of FPD4, no arson is expected. It's expected to be an accident at this point, but they are still investigating. So we'll be coming at you with more on that. All sorts of closures coming up over the next few days at the Satsuma exit, at the on 16 north of Denham Springs all the way to Lockhart, and some other more road work on 190. There it was. Sorry about that. All of that is anywhere from the 7th to the 10th. So please check our website under the breaking news section, which is free, www.livingstonparishnews.com/breaking_news for all of that information. Master plan met last night. All sorts of info coming out of there. Plus, we've got a Parish Council meeting tomorrow night. Tons of info there. So hold on to your butts. We've got a lot to talk about this afternoon. The master plan, as mentioned, they met. The committee met, had a quorum. Got to hear from Mark Harrell, who is the Director of Homeland Security and Emergency Preparedness. In the onset, it was believed that with a drainage plan and a zoning plan, it would probably, the cost of this project would be anywhere from $500,000 to $750,000. Right now, it is looking like that number is going to be more like 1 to 1.5 million, which with a 25% match on any kind of grant would be about $375,000 to the parish. As they work through the scope and what the parish has to put towards the project in terms of finances, that scope may reduce. The three parts that are being considered are zoning, sewer, and drainage. Sewer and drainage come with an increased cost due to the necessity for engineers to make proposals. The initial cost is mainly for a consultant. Mr. Harrell said that the group itself could probably work through zoning using the original 2013 passed master plan to work from, but to add those other two pieces, which is sewer and drainage, would cost much extra. Probably add about $1 million to the project. So he said it would, the next steps are to create a white paper to submit to grant outlets for grant funding, and to talk with Ms. Jennifer Myers, who's the finance director for the parish, as well as parish president Leighton Ricks, on funding and what kind of money is available for a project like this. Again, Mr. Harrell said that any kind of grant is probably going to have a 25% match. He did mention several times the HUD block grant, which has recently been approved and guidance issued, that is coming through the state. That's $1.2 billion, and maybe they can get a piece of that. Bike Ped Plan meeting for Denham Springs was last night. Good meeting, good feedback. There will be one final community meeting in October. This is about trying to get people out of their cars and walking and moving around Denham Springs in non-vehicle related travel. You can look at that at www.livingstonparishnews.com/news. There's a story that discusses, and the maps are part of the story that show where the bike paths would be, where the pedestrian crosses would be added, and safety issues in those areas. So again, you can check that out, www.livingstonparishnews.com/news. We're $5 online. We also have an app. That is a per month. We're $7 for e-edition per month, $10 in print. If you are having trouble, I'm sorry, if y'all remember, we have a cat now. His name is Livingston. He found a way into the studio. If you're having trouble staying logged in, please give us a call, 225-665-5176. Now, shifting to Parish Council tomorrow night, lots going on. First and foremost, at the Ordinance Committee, they had shifted the sewer, the proposed sewer ordinance to the Master Plan Committee. They will still be talking sewer, but this is mostly about inspections and base regulations. The reason that comes up is because in Serene Acres, the folks there have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars on grinder pumps. While the grinder pumps themselves may function appropriately, they were not big enough to service those homes. They also did not have feeding lines that were big enough. There were also problems believed to be, not yet discovered, with the force main at the end of the subdivision. So nothing was of appropriate size for those homes and for the size of that subdivision. When discussing it with the Parish Council, the councilman from that area, R.C. Bubba Harris, brought in two folks, and those lines were inspected by a parish engineer, but they don't meet any kind of code. So that group will be looking at Walker's grinder pump ordinances and things, language related to that through the city of Walker, to try to find a better way to implement this. They will also be looking at their inspection process. Ordinance Committee starts tomorrow night at 5 p.m. Council comes up at 6:15. Also on the council's radar is going to be, again, Mr. Frog Talbert from District 2 will bring up the resolution to demand that the parish president, Leighton Ricks, who has taken control of the process for this dormitory at Premier Concrete, that they ship the whole project back to the beginning of the commercial permitting process. Although they can force a resolution and send it, resolutions are recommendations. The parish president doesn't necessarily have to do anything. However, District 3 Councilman Maurice Scooter Keene is proposing, will introduce an ordinance that in the future, when inappropriate permits are found, especially fraudulent ones, the parish will have recourse and will require these projects to go back to the beginning of the permitting process. According to Parish Council Attorney Chris Moody, the council is out of the game when it comes to this particular issue with the Premier Concrete. It is at the discretion of the parish president. Keene said that he wants to do this to try to take the heat off everybody. It doesn't matter if it was inappropriately permitted. They will have to start over. They're looking to maybe include language that would say if it was the permitting department's fault, there would be some sort of recourse with that as well. That's coming up tonight or tomorrow night during the parish council meeting. It's another day of qualifying. So who is ready to read that list? Let's do it. Okay. Today it was officially over as of 4:30, so 10 minutes ago. We have the list open here in Livingston. So let's start with Governor. Ralph Abraham with a P.O. Box in Baton Rouge. Oscar Omar Dantzler with a P.O. Box in Hammond. John Bell Edwards with the Governor's Mansion, listed as his place of residence. Gary Landrew of Metairie. Patrick Livewire Landry of New Orleans. Manuel Russell Leach of Johnson Chute, Natchitoches. And Eddie Risponi of Baton Rouge. Lieutenant Governor still remains a one-person race, Mr. Billy Nungesser of Belchase, Louisiana. Secretary of State, we are now up to 3. Kyle Ardwin of Baton Rouge, Gwen Collins Greenup of Clinton, and Amanda Jennings Smith of Bastrop, Louisiana. Attorney General, also a one-man race so far, Jeff Landry. Please remember there is one more day of qualifying. Thursday is the final day. And as Clerk of Court of Livingston Parish, Jason Harris, said, it tends to get interesting on Thursday afternoon, pardon me. Treasurers turn into a two-person race, Mr. John M. Schroeder of Baton Rouge, and Mr. Derek Edwards of Harvey, Louisiana. Commissioner of Agriculture and Forestry, Marguerite Green of New Orleans, Dr. Mike Strain of Covington, and Peter Williams of Baton Rouge. Commissioner of Insurance, a two-person race, James Jim Donnellan of Metairie, and Mr. Tim Temple of Baton Rouge. Bessie District 6, Clara Hart of Jefferson Place Circle in Baton Rouge, Ronnie Morris of Baton Rouge, and Gregory Spears of Springfield. Mac Bodie White is currently the only one running for the 6th Senate District. In the 13th Senate District, you have Edith Carlin of Denham Springs, Devin Cavalier of Denham Springs, and Rogers Pope of Denham Springs. In the 18th Senate District, you have Eddie Lambert. In the 64th District, we have a qualifier, and it is the incumbent, Ms. Valerie Hodges of Denham Springs, actually of Watson. If you'll remember, I said on the morning show, the Denham Springs mailing label extends well into Watson and south of Walker. So you have to kind of pay attention to the zip codes. Ms. Hodges has a 70706. That was a lot of 7 zeros. 70706, which is a Watson zip code. In the 71st Rep District, Lori Calais of Denham Springs, Jonathan Davis of Walker, Ivy Graham of Denham Springs, Buddy Mincy of Denham Springs, and Robert Poole of Denham Springs. Currently a 5-person race. 81st Rep District is Clay Schexnader still. 95th District, you have Sherman Mack of Albany and Robin Perrow of Walker. 21st Judicial District Division D, which came open because Mr. Doug Hughes, or the Honorable Doug Hughes, retired on June 30th to open up this race. You now have 3 people, Mr. Brian Abels of Denham Springs, Ernie Drake of Springfield, and William Dykes of Hammond. Sheriff's race is still a one-person race with Jason Ard, your only qualifier so far. Clerk of Court, he is of Livingston, by the way. Clerk of Court, still a one-person race, Mr. Jason Harris of Denham Springs. Assessor, still a one-person race with Mr. Jeff Taylor of Denham Springs. Coroner, still a one-person race with Dr. Ron Coe of Denham Springs. Parish President, still a one-person race with Leighton Ricks from Denham Springs. Again, a trend there. Moving into the Parish Council, Councilman District 1, Jeff Ard of Walker and Julius Craig of Walker. Councilman District 2, Kyle Hoop Parker of Watson and Gary Frog Talbert of Denham Springs, but he has one of those 06 zip codes. So he lives in South Watson. Councilman District 3, Maurice Scooter Keene of Denham Springs, Brian Ross of Denham Springs, and Shannon Sloan of Denham Springs. Council District 4, John Wascom of Denham Springs. Councilman District 5, R.C. Bubba Harris is the lone runner. Councilman District 6, Derek Babcock of Denham Springs, Muriel Laws of Denham Springs, Steve McDaniel of Denham Springs, and Gerald McMorris of Livingston. Councilman District 7, Tracy Girlinghouse is the lone qualifier so far. Again, a reminder, one more day is left. Councilman District 8, Randy DeLatte of Maurepas, Barry Hardy of Livingston. And Councilman District 9, Shane Mack is the lone qualifier so far. Constable, we've got a race here. Constable Justice of the Peace Ward 8, Gerald Butch Mack of Holden, and Lisa Robert of Holden. So 2 qualifiers for that race. Chief of Police, Village of French Settlement, Carrie Mosby of French Settlement. Alderman, Town of Livingston, 1 to be elected. We have a Robert Stewart of Livingston and a James Neeson of Livingston as well. Alderman, Town of Killian, 2 to be elected. And so far 2 have qualified. Caleb Atwell of Springfield and John Henry of Killian. Alderman, Town of Springfield, Chad Morello of Springfield, and Marty Starkey of Springfield, 2 will be elected. So Mr. Starkey qualified today. So there you go, full list. It's full. A lot of things are going to be on your ballot. Next Thursday's paper is going to be dedicated to this election. After all the qualifying is done, we'll be talking about the offices, the millage renewals, any new millages or fees that might be on the ballot, as well as your constitutional amendments for statewide vote. Please be on the lookout for that. We will not bog down Mr. Congressman Garrett Graves tomorrow afternoon reading off the end of qualifying. We will do that probably on Friday morning after the Parish Council will come at you with all of the final qualifiers and who you will be voting on next time. Maybe I'll read the list in the morning. Maybe I won't. Thank you all for joining us this evening for the Livingston Parish News Daily Show. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. One more time with the traffic. Delays still heavy in and around 63, stretching back to Holden and Walker going both ways. Heavy traffic starting in downtown Baton Rouge has now extended into the Denham Springs area on I-12 heading eastbound. Delays on 190 at the lights and delays on Highway 64 heading in from Central. It's currently 100 degrees, 76 degrees is your low tonight. 30% chance of rain tomorrow. Remember, we are on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. We'd appreciate you giving us a like, a follow, and a subscribe in those places. We also have these shows as well as our long-form podcast at www.livingstonparishnews.com/podcast. We have video versions of those as well as audio versions. Please check those out. They are free. We are $5 a month online. We also have an app. If you're having trouble staying logged in, please give us a call, 225-665-5176. We are $7 a month for the e-edition and $10 a month for print. Thanks again for joining us again. My name is McHugh David, publisher and editor of the news. We will see you in the morning.